Hello, and welcome to Life Guidance from Beyond. We're your hosts, Deborah Rogers, holistic occupational therapist and channeler, and Susan McIntyre, life empowerment coach and channeler. On our show, we'll discuss a variety of topics from spirituality, practical life hacks, health and wellness, and tackle the everyday challenges of being human. Now, let's explore the wisdom from beyond and find new ways to navigate life together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Life Guidance from Beyond. And Jenna will not be with us anymore because sadly her schedule is very, very busy. So we have Susan McIntyre who's going to be joining us, and I'm Deborah. And Susan, if you haven't seen or you don't know her, she's on episode 15. We actually interviewed her as a guest, and it was a really fascinating podcast. She is a life empowerment coach. She does personalized meditations and affirmations for people. She makes jewelry. She does tons of stuff. So definitely visit episode 5. And we'll also begin to learn more about her as she helps co-host.
Thank you.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, I'm excited to join. Thanks for having me.
So today we're going to be talking about, as the title says, embracing fear with love and compassion because, there's just a lot going on in this world, and it's just the energy is getting heavier and heavier. And both of us has noticed, besides ourselves, just other people are feeling a lot of anxiety. I'm having a lot more clients actually coming in with a lot of anxiety that we're trying to work through. So we're hoping that this podcast can really reach out to those people that are feeling fear, they're feeling anxiety, and that we can kind of help you learn some strategies to kind of cope with that and kind of settle a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's in any time, fear is a factor that as human beings, it's, sort of a fact of life, and it's coming to understand that fear is generally a messenger. Sometimes it's a little harsher than it means to be, but generally speaking, it is either a messenger or a part of ourselves that needs a little bit of love and light, a little
Yeah.
bit of understanding and compassion.
And you know what, Susan, I love the word that you said, a part of us, because, I don't do internal family systems, but I do some parts work in my work. And it can be really helpful when people say, "Oh, a part of me is feeling fear," or "A part of me is feeling anxiety," knowing that it's not the whole of them, and that
Right.
it can help them feel like they have a little more control. Like, "Oh, it's not all consuming, it's just a part of me that's feeling this."
Exactly.
So,
Often when I'm doing meditation, I will, basically have people identify, where is the fear? Where are you feeling the fear? So they can understand that it may be sitting somewhere. Oh, my stomach. I feel it in my stomach, or I feel it in my chest or in my head. But then we're able to, take steps during meditation to release it, and
mhm.
having them have the recognition of saying, oh, okay, I'm not my fear. I am feeling this. I'm carrying this somewhere in my body, but I am
Yeah.
actually able to release this in this moment.
Yeah, and we do very similar work in that because I do the same thing. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important to learn to kind of embrace, like
Yes.
the title, and befriend,
Yes.
the emotion fear. It's just an emotion, and learning, okay, why am I feeling this? Where am I feeling it in my body? What is it, does it have a message for me? Is it trying
Uh-huh.
to tell me or teach me something, or how can I work with it? So it can pause.
Absolutely. And I think 9 times out of 10, it is there to teach us something. And
Mhm.
then once we understand it, understand the lesson behind it too, then we're more easily able to release it as well. And I do find that people hold it in their bodies. They hold lots of emotion in their bodies. One of the meditations that I find that works really well for people is just going through and giving those emotions a color, and literally have them breathe it out, and it works
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Just to understand, and then I always give people the analogy that, you know emotions are a little bit like the waves of the ocean. We're going to
Mhm.
feel them. They're there to come and go. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
feel them in the moment and then we want to release them. If we
Hmm.
hold on to them for too long, they can become dis-ease, which in the body can translate to
Yeah,
disease. Yes.
exactly. Yeah, and Susan's going to be guiding us through a lovely meditation at the end also to help us embrace fear with love. That's the title of her meditation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So what we were talking about before we started recording is just how both of us are feeling, and we're actually seeing this too, is one way to help ourselves with fear is through social connection and finding comfort with that for ourselves and comforting one another, and we're starting to see more people come together and support one another, offer comfort, offer kindness, even.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and compassion, seeing those small acts of kindness and love. I really think that that helps bolster and sort of reduce the fear that people might feel
Mhm.
on a daily basis.
Mhm.
It's sort of reconnecting. And I also think that, another way to work with the fear is to get back out in nature, you know,
Mhm.
be in nature, walk barefoot on the grass. Do you know what I mean? Get outside, walk through the forest or go to the beach or wherever you seem to be, feel most drawn.
Yeah.
But connecting back into to nature, I think really helps ground us. I think it
Mhm.
helps center us. And
Yeah.
when we're more centered and grounded and calm, we are more easily able to recognize the illusion of fear.
And I think the other point about nature too is that, whether one experiences trauma or a chronic illness or just gets consumed by fear, what happens is we just begin to have this narrow focus and we don't really see what's around us. And so um, when we get back in nature, all of a sudden it just helps open our perspective a little more. And we may have forgotten, oh, we can just go in the backyard and just hang out in nature. And we just forgot about because we were so consumed about with our anxiety and our fear. So it literally opens up our perspective. And the nice thing is that you can even practice is when you have a narrow focus, just widen your periphery. And that
Absolutely.
can even be calming to the nervous system, just like nature can be. And I think when we go out in nature, it automatically widens our periphery, right?
Yeah, and I love that you said just even going back in the backyard. I don't,
Mhm.
so often people are so busy. I don't want people to feel like they have to, oh, I have to go to the beach, but I don't have time to do that. Oh, I'd love to go
Yeah.
take a hike, but I don't really have time to do that. Literally sitting in your backyard or walking barefoot in your
Mhm.
backyard is, 10 or 15 minutes will definitely reconnect you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's so funny that I say it. Like, I should go to my back. I have this little backyard, but so I will make myself go on walks that where I have to drive somewhere and walk. Despite the fact I have a little backyard, I do have a tree that's really pretty that I could just sit and look at. I'm like, a little easier. I could do that every day and calm myself instead of like having to go drive somewhere. But
Actually, it's so funny too, because I also have a little backyard and a tree.
yeah,
Well, I have two
see?
trees. I have two. But yes, yes. So the same thing. But often what I'll do is I have a front porch. So I will often go
Mhm.
out and sit on my front porch and
Nice.
I will listen to the birds or I will listen to the leaves and
Mhm.
do just a little few breath meditation. And that's the other thing, when people talk about meditation, they think that it's this long drawn out thing. And it can be. It can be a beautiful journey or literally it can be four breaths.
Mhm. Yeah. And I did forest bathing with a group yesterday. And just like you're mentioning, we're talking about the senses. You
Hmm.
can go out and just notice what you see,
Yeah.
and then just notice what you hear. And
Yes.
then notice if you see any movement. And what I found fascinating in the group, we sat down in the woods and some people watching like I was the currents in the river, other people watching branches moving from a breeze or reflections that were moving. And I think it was almost every single person started settling in their system.
Yeah.
And my friend and I were talking about it. We're like, there's so much that gets stirred up in us. It's almost like when you watch movement, it's almost like moves it out, that like that
Yeah.
stirred up, and it kind of settles it. And it was fascinating how it was the movement. Every single person, when we shared, it was a lot longer when we talked about the movement, and everybody had this amazing effect of just feeling like they were settling. And that can just be looking at your tree in the backyard and looking at branches or leaves just
Yeah.
flowing in the breeze.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the other part of that is that, so many things of sights and sound and smell is connected to memory. So part of
Hmm.
that is trying to, as you're reconnecting to nature, if a really fabulous or beautiful memory comes back to you, just
Yeah.
feel that in that moment and then allow it to release.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to sort of connect us.
Hmm.
And, when you're experiencing this, to allow a little joy to come in.
Yeah.
Recognize that.
Hmm.
Recognize small joys.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So I have to tell you something. I took this, and everybody, so I do cranial sacral therapy, and I took an advanced brain class. And so you learn how to put your hands on someone's head and really connect to the brain. And it was fascinating that, because you're talking about the imagination, the
Hmm.
teacher would say, like, imagine you're eating something you love, or imagine like a nice scene somewhere outside. And I literally felt the brain expand. And so when the brain expands, what happens is, and you're getting some more spinal fluid that's flowing through. And it's just like we contract when we're stressed,
Yeah.
and we always forget the brain is part of the body. The brain is another organ in the body, right?
Hmm.
And so just like the body contracts, like the limbs and stuff, so does the brain. And so when we can relax, just like you relax your arms and there's a little more
Yeah.
expansion movement, the brain does the exact same thing, and it can be easily done with imagery.
Yeah, and I use that all the time with meditation, all the time. I find, and I would almost say that, using your imagination is a way to connect to your inner divinity
Hmm.
every single time.
Hmm.
And and not only connect to your inner divinity in order to become relaxed and to become centered, but really
Hmm.
to gain messages in terms of like hearing your intuition.
Yeah.
When you are using your imagination and you are in that sort of childlike state, right? That sort of
Hmm.
like state of becoming or state of like exploration, then
Hmm.
you're open to possibility, you're open
Yeah.
to change, you're open to hearing, your highest wisdom come through.
Yeah. And you make a good point. When we're feeling stressed or going through a dark night of the soul, like maybe the country seems to be going through a dark night of the soul, it's really can be, not just a time that like support one another and come together and have compassion, but taking pauses and going into yourself and finding that inner divinity, and
Absolutely.
finding what does my inner wisdom have want to tell me?
Yeah,
What can it tell me to help support me? And in that individuals, there's like a feeling of compassion too, and a feeling
absolutely.
of love,
Well,
right?
yeah, and the feeling of love and feeling connected. Then you realize that, you're connected when you're in a love space and you're in that sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
vibration,
Right.
then, you do feel connected to everyone, to the
Yes.
planet, to the universe, to
Yeah.
the animals. Like then you're coming from a place of love, you're coming from a place of
Right.
possibility, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing um place to be, you know
Mm-hmm.
people I
Yeah.
think people are open to the most magnificent things to come into your life and the most abundance when they are in this love and gratitude center.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think sometimes people feel like, all right, well, if I'm going to sit and meditate and be in love, that's not very proactive. But what I feel is the more that we connect to the sense of love and compassion and divinity within ourselves, just like you're saying, the more we realize we're all connected, right? We're all one. And that is proactive,
Yeah.
right? When you realize you're not alone, that we're all connected,
Yeah.
right? That's pretty powerful.
And then in that space too, then you can really set the intention that you want for yourself, for your
Yeah.
life.
And for
I
others.
kind of use the idea of, it's like McDonald's, right? You have to set an intention. You get in your car, you go, then you have to
Hmm.
speak it, right? That could be an affirmation, whatever
Hmm.
you want to create, and then you receive. But
Yeah.
there are things to do that you can do, that each of us can do in
Hmm.
order to be in that place of receiving.
Yeah. And it takes us away from that reactive fear and
Absolutely.
more into like responding with love. How do we want to respond? Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, things happen in our life, with our families, with our friends, in the world, at the workplace. And really, uh, it is, how do we want to respond?
Yeah.
Always. And when you are in a centered, calm place, then you will find that you respond much differently than if you are responding from a fear
Hmm.
place. Yeah.
And I can see people saying, asking, so how do you get into centered calm space though, enough to find that inner essence or divinity that you call it?
Well, again, I think,
Nature.
meditating, yeah,
Yeah.
4 meditative breaths. It doesn't even have to be like a long time. Again, like going out into nature for 4 meditative breaths. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Or spending,
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes
Yeah.
to do that, to take a moment to listen, to
Mhm.
be quiet, those kinds of things, and getting in the habit of that. And affirmation, for me, affirmation is everything, because,
Yeah.
our whole world, like I had mentioned in the last podcast, our whole world happens inside our head. So it's,
Hmm.
what are we telling ourselves on the daily? And what could we be telling ourselves to help us be in a more positive, loving mind frame and
Yeah. And
feeling?
you're gonna, yeah, and you're gonna be giving us a affirmation along with the meditation at the end.
Yeah.
And what you said is really important before that about getting in the habit. It's really getting in the habit of self-care. And, so many times I'll teach self-regulation strategies that are short and quick. But the thing is, you have to get into this routine, this
Yeah.
habit in order to create a routine, right? You
Yeah.
have to do a little every day to create a habit, to create a routine, to help rewire the brain, to help the body know and the mind know, oh, wait a minute, I am safe. I
Yeah.
can like calm down. And it takes work. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a lot of work, but it takes continuously
Yeah.
doing
Some in,
self-care.
some intention and some action. Again, it's like you're going to McDonald's. You're not going to get the fries if you don't get in the car to go and you don't ask for the fries.
Yeah,
So there
yeah.
is a little bit of, intention
Hmm.
um and action
Yeah.
towards it. But it doesn't have to be a big lift.
Yeah.
But something small each day. And I
Mhm.
do think that, again, bring it back around to the fear. I do think that that helps combat the fear, when you are able to, take these small steps to be able to feel a little more comfortable in
Mhm.
yourself. Um, and then I also do, and I recommend to everybody, a little bit of protection. I put a little bit of light, I always just imagine my little white light shield bubble all around me, and I'm like, I'm good.
Mhm.
So,
When you're talking about protection, there's a meditation that I give to a lot of clients called the container. And this is another thing that might be helpful for, centering as well as protection, because sometimes we can feel, all right, I have a bubble, but I don't feel my body.
mm,
Um, so the container, we can imagine ourselves as a container. And sometimes people will draw it like, what do you want that container to look like? What does it look like right now? And then what do you want to have it look like? And and what color do you want it? And sometimes that can help people feel something a little more tangible. Okay, my body is like this container. And it's so neat. Sometimes people actually, you know what? I'm going to put a lid on top of that, which
yeah,
is kind of perfect for now because there is so much information out there coming our way.
yeah,
And so it's like, okay, how much do you want to be in your container? How much do you want to take out? And maybe you want to put a lid on top for a little bit so not so much comes in. Like you need a break, right? And you're in control what comes in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that seems wonderful. Do you want me to go ahead and start the meditation?
Sure. Let's just review real quick. We're talking about just finding comfort in giving yourself comfort and love and compassion and connection. and connecting to one another, showing compassion to one another, giving comfort to one another can also feel like you're giving comfort to yourself as well because we're social beings. And then we're talking about another idea is go out into nature and take a few breaths like Susan was talking about and just make that a little routine. It could be, I used to actually, before going to work, I used to sit in my car and just take a few breaths and would say an affirmation. This is going to be a
Mm.
fantastic day. And it really made a difference. Or you could have tea on the porch, just looking at the tree before you start your day. So just finding something that fits into the schedule that doesn't feel overwhelming, but
Right.
kind of helps you reset or start your day in a different way.
Yeah.
And then also, Susan brought up protection. It could be having a white light around, it could be feeling your body as a container if you need to feel something more solid. So, those are just all some strategies that might help kind of help you settle a little, kind of embrace yourself more. And remembering also that a part of me has fear, a part of me is feeling anxiety, but there's also another part that is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Okay.
meditation.
Okay. All right. So everybody can, relax, get comfortable, um, and then let your eyes close. Just take a nice, deep, meditative breath. A meditative breath always comes from the belly. So breathing in through the nose, feel the belly rise. Breathing gently out of the mouth. And just notice how you feel against the surface, whether you're sitting or lying down. Feel the weight of your body grounding you to the earth beneath you. Imagine roots growing from the base of your spine or the soles of your feet and just reaching deep into the earth so you know that you are supported, deeply rooted and supported. And just with each breath, you can feel the roots grow deeper, connecting you, nurturing you from the energy of the earth. And now just gently turn your attention inward without judgment. Bring your awareness to any fear or discomfort you might be feeling in this moment. It could be a feeling of anxiety or worry or hesitation. Whatever it is, just allow it to surface. Notice where you feel it in the body. Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? Don't try to push it away. Instead, just let it be. Allow yourself to feel it. Acknowledge that it's a natural part of your human experience. The fear does not define you. It is simply a shadow part of yourself seeking understanding and compassion. And as you sit with the fear, I want you just to use your imagination and imagine a warm glow, a golden light glowing within your heart. This light is the energy of unconditional love and compassion. Each exhale, imagine this light growing brighter and more expansive. And just feel it softening any resistance within you. And now I want you to imagine that this warm light gently surrounds the fear. You can picture your fear as a small child or a weary traveler, vulnerable, seeking comfort. Send a wave of love and compassion towards the fear. You don't need to fix it or change it. Simply allow yourself to hold space for it with kindness. In your mind, you might softly speak to your fear. You might say something like, I see you, I hear you, I know that you're here, but I am not afraid of you. You are welcome here. I understand that you are trying to protect me. I am safe now. You do not need to control me. You are only a part of me, but not the whole of me. I send you love and compassion in this moment. You can just allow any words or feelings to come naturally as you offer compassion and understanding to the fear. Just recognizing that fear is simply a messenger trying to guide you, even if its methods are not always gentle. Just take a few breaths to experience that right now. And then as you continue to breathe deeply, just imagine that beautiful golden light of love and compassion that was wrapped around your fear. Just imagine it soothe it and begin to dissolve any tension and unease. See the fear soften and transform and release into the light. You might imagine it as a mist, as you would see in the morning when the sun comes in and burns it off. And just know that in this moment, it is now filled with love and compassion and understanding. And just know that by accepting this shadow part of yourself, you are healing and integrating it. You are making space for wholeness, allowing all parts of you to exist with love. And just take a moment to feel the warmth of the love that now resides within you. Know that you are safe. Know that you are whole. Know that you are loved. Just take another breath in and slowly begin to bring your awareness back to the present moment. Feel the support of the earth beneath you and the peace within you, and the love that you have now given yourself. You may, whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and just carry this sense of peace and compassion with you as you move forward.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the end. I am safe. I am whole. I am loved.
And that is the affirmation. I am safe, I am whole, and I am loved.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And if you liked this episode, please don't forget to like us and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Life Lessons from Beyond. And don't forget to subscribe and like the podcast. Thanks.